I'm so excited and privileged to introduce you to this incredibly inspiring human, entrepreneur, business coach, mum, mentor, podcaster, blogger, and mental health clinician. What an all-round superstar. Let's bring her out onto the show. Please welcome Angela Henderson.
Hey, so excited.
How are you?
I'm so excited to see you.
Please have a seat. You look absolutely fabulous, by the way.
Well, thank you, as do you.
I love the colour and the earrings. You are on one mission. Tell us exactly what that mission is, and it's a big one.
It is a big one because as women, we're faced with so much diversity, and history has shown us that. So for me, my mission is to support an additional 2,500 women between now and 2025 to have the tools, community, and resources they need to grow sustainable and profitable businesses.
Why is this mission of helping so many women? Why are you so passionate about it? Where does this come from?
For me, it's about women getting more wealth into their hands, because if women get more wealth into their hands, they not only change their home life, they start to change the local community, and they start to make a global effect. And so it's not even just about, again, for them, it's about what can they do to sustain this kind of rhythm throughout history and start to break history up a little bit.
Wow. And that's so important, because if we don't change things now, we're just repeating generational cycles, aren't we? So it's really important, yeah.
I mean, generations, we have to look at what our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, et cetera, had to go through. And as women, we all have opportunity to make change if you choose to make change. And that's the big thing that I find so often, is that women make a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
They're happy to go back to the default effect about poor me, my grandmother, and they just continue to live that. I believe that women have choice. And every day that when you wake up, you have a responsibility to take responsibility for yourself. And if you choose not to, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. So for me to be able to give women these tools, community, and resources, there really should be no more excuses.
That needs a round of applause. Whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. Angela Henderson on a t-shirt. I love that. That is brilliant. Now, your first business, Finley and Me. How did you get started with that?
Well, I have a beautiful son named Finley, who's in the audience today. And we were playing when he was about 9 months old. And I remember there's all these beautiful toys that we were given, but they were all electronic based. Which is fine. We have iPads too, so no judgment. But for me, I was like, as an ex-mental health clinician of 15 years, I thought surely there's got to be other ways. So I started locally looking at different resources for kids that would work on fine motor skill development, gross motor skill development, and spark imagination, but ultimately to create a connection with children between parent and child. And I started with 0 products. We ended up with 1,500 products when we finished Finley and Me. And also through Finley and Me, it was a really great opportunity because I had a platform. I was signed with companies like Netflix, Woolies, Kohl's, etc., in order to help get their messaging through my audience. So it all started with Finley playing games on the ground and trying to make things slightly different.
That is brilliant. Give her a round of applause. My gosh, 1,500 products at the end. That's brilliant. There's a very controversial article on Mamma Mia around you outsourcing, and it stirred up a lot of comments. Please take us through that. And it wasn't really a nice experience, I'll be honest, but if you don't mind sharing, I think it might help some others stay true to their voice.
Yeah, women, again, as we say, there's so much responsibility that we have to take. There's also decision fatigue. And so one of the things that I've learned again, is whatever I'm not changing, I'm choosing. So for me, as I was like, well, if I'm overwhelmed in my home life, this is going to impact all areas of my life. So I then decided to get a gardener, a cleaner, and a house manager. So again, also I want to caveat is I don't drink, I don't smoke. So the money that I would allocate to other social recreational things is my budget that I put towards these services. Okay. And so for me, I was like, great. And so Mamma Mia had asked if they could do an article about this because they believe that women too should be able to inspire and ask for help, something that we don't typically see in our world. And so I did, and it went viral. There was tens of thousands of comments, not only in Australia, but globally, from people saying, I was a deadbeat, my children would be deadbeats, I was worthless, why would I pay, where's your help from your husband, et cetera, et cetera. So, I had a lot of people rallying for me, but again, it was 10% of the population was really advocating for it too, and the other 90% was really there was horrible comments, but those 10% of people that needed to hear the message were ready to receive the message. And if that means I made a difference, 10 out of every 100 women are doing something different for their world, then I'm here for that change.
That's brilliant. And, there's a really good point there to be made that I think if you're listening to this at home as well, just take note that a lot of us get up and try and change the world. And Angela's just made a really good point that if she can change 10%, it's still worth it, even though you suffered personally. There was a lot of personal attacks and comments on her family and you and the decisions you made, but you still felt, after all of that, being gaslit globally by people she didn't even know, keyboard warriors, you still feel that it was the right thing to do because you helped 10%. And that, I think, is a really important point.
100%, because again, how do we start to break down stigma? How do we start to make change? Because again, all of us have voices, but not everyone will use their voice. And so for me, is I'm happy to use my voice, and I'm happy to take a little bit of that blunt end if I need to, if it means that there'll be a ripple effect positively for, other women in generations to come.
Bravo, because not everyone would do that, knowing 90% of people are going to attack you. So well done. I love the topic on your most recent podcast, assessing what's expired in your life and making room for expansion. Please tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think we all go through different stages in our lives where things start to expire. My husband, who again is a dear friend of mine still, he lives 20 seconds from my front door. My kids go back and forth between houses. It's very amicable and very joyous, actually. But again, Dale and I had been together for 20 years and we had expired, but it didn't mean that we still don't love each other and that we're not there for our children. And so again, whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. I had to make some harder decisions. Dale and I had to, but everyone can make hard decisions and you can get through hard things. So really start looking at, have relationships expired in your life? Have whatever food addiction expired in your life? Has alcohol and drugs, started to expire in life? Where have things in your life started to expire? And where do you need to kind of detox and get rid of that toxicity in your life in order to make room for further expansion?
There's some great points there. I think we all need to do a bit of an assessment when we get home. Now, you talk about, Angela, wealth buckets. A lot of people determine and link wealth to money, but you have a number of wealth buckets. Take us through what they are, please. And if you are at home, make sure you're jotting this down. Please send me the notes as well.
So for me is when I work with women in business to help them hit 4 and 5 figure months and on to 6 and 7 figure years, what a lot of women associate success with and wealth with is the revenue wealth. And that's only part of it. And I see a lot of times when women so fixated on the revenue wealth, so much beside them start to drop off. So when I talk about the wealth buckets, I talk about self-wealth, relationship wealth, spiritual wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth. They're going to vary depending on individual and, personality and things like that. But again, by assessing where wealth is, I'll give you an example. I had a breast reconstruction surgery done in December. So my revenue for that month dropped, but my physical wealth increased substantially. I'm able to play more with my children. I can get out more. I've lost 25 pounds in the last 6 months because I'm able to move more. So again, my physical wealth went up, but also my mental wealth went up because I was in a better headspace, even though my revenue wealth bucket went down. So it's about looking at the different wealth buckets you have in your world and not forgetting about those, because I think often we focus on one and everything else falls by the wayside.
That's very true. And, they talk a lot about spinning plates, which I guess is another way of looking at it. And you were spinning your health plate and keeping that going. So the wealth bucket went down, or the wealth plate went down. And it's important. So what are some tips that you might be able to give women in business, particularly, because that's your strength, that might be struggling with filling the buckets up? Which one do they prioritise? As mums in business or dads in business, we are often having that mummy daddy guilt of spending maybe too much time with in our business and not enough with our children and so on. So how do you actually help your clients balance all of the buckets and make sure that it's not about them all being filled at the one time, but it's okay if one of them's down and it's making peace with that? So what are some strategies you can give people?
Again, I guess I'd start with the saying is that balance is, I'll say, BS.
Yes.
Because I think if you look at the true definition of balance, it's about equal distribution amongst X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And so when I started in business, I had to learn really early on that I had to replace that with being present. So for me is I don't believe in balance. And so like today, for example, my kids know that they are on iPads while I was getting ready and things like that, because my moment is to be present on this today. It doesn't mean I disregard them any less. It doesn't mean I love them any less, but I'm present. So the first thing that I would say to women, especially in moms that are trying to do everything, is make sure that you're looking at where can you be present in your life, because those moments are going to leave you very quickly, whether or not that's with friends, family, and yourself. So I replace that as what I would say is that, again, replace being present versus the balance.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd imagine, apart from the Mamma Mia article, in your business and in many years that you've been in business and working with other clients, what would you say that some of your more difficult times were growing the business, helping other clients? What are some things you've faced that you might be able to share so that others out there, you might be facing this alone if you're watching, And hopefully by Angela sharing them, you might actually go, oh, I'm not alone, which is great. And that's the whole idea of the Girlfriend Hour, is that sisterhood of support. So there's some challenges you've been through that you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, I would say that is when you start to increase your revenue, what happens is you'll actually go through an enormous amount of loss and grief, because all of a sudden you will have continued on this trajectory of working on the inner work, working on yourself, doing different things, and not everyone is there on that same journey. So unfortunately, you will start to kind of, not all the time, but you will potentially lose friends, you will lose family members who no longer get it. You know, I had some family members being like, what do you do? Do you sell drugs, right? Like, why do you make so much money? What are you doing? And it's like those comments I no longer would put up with, right? So it was like, okay, it doesn't mean that I love that person any less, but I've had to put boundaries in place because it was no longer something that I was willing to listen to on an ongoing basis. So one is understanding that there will be loss and grief with your success, because not everyone will follow that trajectory and where you're at. And knowing that it's not a bad thing, it just means that you're going to have space for new people to come into your world who will meet you on your calibration, your frequency, on where you're at. So I would say that being present versus being balanced. And another thing that I'd say is understanding that you can do hard things. And there's going to be times in business and in life in general where you're going to get a cash flow month will be out. You're going to have clients get diagnosed with cancer, right? And you're going to have to go through those motions, right, of supporting them through that. You're going to have things like COVID that comes into play. And you've got clients all around the world and trying to make sure that everyone is, okay, and that they're, surviving. So I just think it's about being able to adapt and also being able to put your oxygen mask on first, understanding that your self-health, self-love, and self-being is equally as important as anyone else's. So yes.
That's a really good point, because if you don't look after yourself, then you can't help anyone else anyway. So what would be next for Angela Henderson?
What would be next for Angela Henderson? I mean, really for me, it's about creating memories. Again, life is short. And so wherever I can, I will be creating memories with my kids, with myself, with my family. But in regards to the big things, there's a lot of speaking that's coming up internationally and locally, which is really exciting. My podcast has been going for 4 years. So again, we've continued to go on with the podcast, and really just here to continue to make that change and use a voice where I can to help women, slowly understand that they can take responsibility for their life and to make, changes even if they're 40, 50, or 60.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. And so we have a fun section now, and it's called Time Out. Have you fallen in love with traveling, firstly?
Yes, 100%. I love it.
What's the part that you love the most about
traveling? Oh my goodness.
Traveling?
I mean, how exciting is it when you're like a kid in a candy shop and you're getting to the Uber and you're just like driving to the airport, and even though there's all the people, but you can just feel this energy when you see people getting excited and getting on the planes, or when they start seeing their family when they're at the exit, like there's something exhilarating about that. And just also, I mean, even if you're in kettle class, right, and you're squished like sardines, there's something magical about knowing there's magic on the other end.
Yeah, I love that. What's your favourite vacation song about summer and the beach?
Oh my goodness. I'd probably say one of the Beach Boys, but I can't remember off the top of my head what one it would be, but I just like... Yeah, probably, something like that, yes. But something like...
Pina colada o'clock.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, yes.
Absolutely. What movie has inspired a previous trip of yours? Have you watched a movie and gone, I'm going there?
Oh, good. Well, one that's on my bucket list would be Cool Runnings, the Canadian it was the Olympics with the bobsled team from Jamaica.
Yes.
No, I haven't, but Jamaica's on my to-do list. So I would say if there's anything that's inspired me to get my butt in gear would be Cool Runnings.
Okay, perfect. What's a funny or strange travel story of yours?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. So I remember we were traveling this one time back from the US, the kids and I was by myself. My husband at the time wasn't there. And we had just taken off. And whales, how they go like this and they just sprout. All of a sudden I see this front seat and this kid just pukes like this, like a whale. And just like a whale. And because we were literally just taking off, you can see the stewardess and she's like, and this, and then this you see. And so anyways, this happened. So the poor kid sprouts like a whale 3 times. It was horrible. It wasn't like I can laugh now, but it was a horrific for all parties included.
And it would have stung for a nice 24-hour
flight. It was so bad. 14 hours, yes.
Oh, no. Have you ever been on a safari?
No, I haven't, but that is on my to-do list. Yes, an African safari.
Too. What's your go-to remedy for jet lag?
Go-to remedy for jet lag? Listen, we just prefer just as soon as we land anywhere that we stay up till pretty much it's like dinner time. So to just try and stay in that routine.
Yes.
You know, as hard as it is, that's what we like to do.
Yeah. Do you have any embarrassing travel stories? Have you ever flown anywhere and forgotten something really important or?
No, I haven't, but I mean, Finley will probably kill me, but whenever we go traveling, Finny makes me take he gets motion sickness. And so Finny and I, we've always got this joke, huh, Finny, where we've got like this like little bag with us all times because we just never know. Okay. But I know, one of my clients also said she's like 23 and she said the same thing. She's like the motion sickness. So yeah, so our funny story would be is we always carry one of those, what do you call it?
Bum bag?
Yeah, not one of the bum bags, but like the vomit bags. We always have spares just in case, so you never know when you're going to need one.
Your vomit bag.
Yes.
What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done on your travels?
The most adventurous thing I've ever done. I mean, the Maldives is pretty great. When we were in the Maldives, I did like a nighttime swim, and you might not think that's adventurous, but like for someone who doesn't get in water and sharks, and then they're whale sharks, that's pretty adventurous to get into the water that night, not knowing what was going to surprise me.
And have you ever been snorkeling?
I have been snorkeling, yes. It makes me a bit nervous, like I'm like hyperventilating, but yes.
You can see everything underwater with goggles on?
Yes.
What's the best gift to give a traveller?
Best gift to give? I would say literally like a Visa gift card, because the thing is you never know when you're going to lose your money. You never know when you're going to find something magical that you want to buy. Yes. And again, I just think it's just fun knowing like where this money can take you.
Yes.
Or an experience also. I've bought in experiences for friends, like cooking classes and stuff when they went to Italy. I'll buy them a cooking class so that they can create an experience and memories. So yes.
Oh, how fantastic is that? Everyone needs a friend like that. Give it up for Angela Henderson. Thank you so much for being on our show today. That was amazing.
It's never too late to become a cover girl. We're looking for incredible women to be profiled in our upcoming issue of Feminescence magazine. Share your story with an international audience, unlock new opportunities, inspire a new network of supporters. It's time to back yourself. We can't wait to hear about the magic that is you. Visit feminescence.com.au to find out more. Come on, what are you waiting for? Carpe diem, girlfriend.